Hello, everybody. We're so excited to be with you. It's going to be a great call today. We're super excited. We have a really special opportunity for you guys to hear from Chad Willardson, who's going to be coaching and leading out on coaching. He is a study in rapid transformation. He has taken these principles of rapid transformation and applied them to himself and has done some amazing work. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys and just introduce a little bit about Chad. Chad Willardson, he is the president and founder of Pacific Capital. He also is a 4-time best-selling author, as well as an author for Entrepreneur magazine. He has been professionally entrusted to manage $1.2 billion worth of investments, co-founder and board member of Gravy Stack, co-host of the Smart Money Parenting Show, which is a #2 podcast on Apple. It's amazing for parenting kids, family finances, teaching your kids right now, building those good principles for investment. He has 13 trademarks, 25 plus issued patents, 10 plus pending in finance and tech. He is the co-founder and co-owner of the Draft Sports Complex, certified financial fiduciary, accredited wealth manager. He's got a bachelor's degree in economics from my alma mater, Brigham Young University, and he is a Southern California native, married in 2001 with 5 kids. So Chad is a really amazing individual when it comes to just knowing how to apply these principles of rapid transformation. And I have heard Ben talk about Chad a lot, and the term that he likes to use is Chad is one of the best implementers Ben has ever met. When he decides what his big vision is, he just goes all in. So we really want this call to be focused on you guys, on answering your questions. Please openly ask your questions when it comes to really how to let go of your 80%, how to really solidify and clarify your vision. We really want you guys to bring some hard-hitting questions because Chad is the guy to help you kind of navigate these things. All right. I'm going to go ahead and turn the hot seat over to Chad.
Thank you, Kirsten. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Before we get started, I got to share a quick story because last night I was thinking about this session. I was thinking about coaching and what could I share in this rapid transformation group. And guess what? I had a hands-on experience of very, very difficult coaching that I had to face head on. And I'm like, what a perfect opportunity to practice coaching for rapid transformation. Let me tell you what happened. I took my youngest 2 kids ice skating with their cousins, and we got to the front of the line. So my youngest kids are 8 and 10. We got to the front of the line, and they would not allow my youngest to have that little helper on the ice skating rink. You know how when you're ice skating, you can kind of hold on to something that makes it easy. And that's always what he uses. That's his favorite little thing when he ice skates. And they said no. They said these are only for kids who are 3 years old or younger. And he's 8, obviously, so he's too old. And so then it was a battle. You know, he put on his skates, but he was clutching onto the picnic table and he was not getting on that ice. He started crying. He started just having kind of a fit. And I said, Bud, like you're gonna go ice skating. Like, we got to do this, man. And I was challenged to coach him to get onto that ice. And in the beginning, it was like, he's hugging the side of the rail. Maybe you've been ice skating before. He's hugging the side and he's just barely scooting along. And the one thing that I think really got him, I said, Beckham, every lap you're going to get better. So just do 1 lap at a time, and every single lap you're going to get better. And guess what? Every single lap he went, he was giving me the numbers of what number lap he had gone around. And he was like, that's lap number 4. And I said, see, you're getting better. That was better than lap number 3. And then lap number 6, and then lap number 8. By lap number 15, he was no longer anywhere near the sides. He was completely in the middle, ice skating confidently. And then eventually he grabbed his little cousin's hand and was leading his little cousin to not hold on to the side. And I thought, shoot, if I can coach this little guy who seemed terrified to get on the ice, then I'm certainly excited to coach this group today. So thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Kirsten and Chelsea. Thanks especially to Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who's letting me substitute coach. I'm very excited to be in a group of people who are aiming for rapid transformation. If you signed up for this, you're different. Like, you have a different mindset. So I'd love to pull up my slides, Kirsten, and go through a couple things to get started. And I think we need to start with what is rapid transformation? So Kirsten, can we pull up the slides? All right. So rapid transformation, these are from the book. I read the entire workbook that Dr. Hardy wrote up, which is just awesome. Rapid transformation requires some certain beliefs. Okay, number one, you can create far bigger results for your future and your future self than you currently know. You wouldn't be in this program if you didn't believe that. You believe there's transformation that's possible in your life. That's why you're here. That's why you committed the time and the money to do this. Your goals decide how much of your potential you can actually reach. It's not just about, as Dr. Hardy talks about all the time, it's not just about your talents. Innate talent is great, but that can be made up with goals and discipline. You can do anything. Like I strongly believe you can transform in many, many ways because you set different targets and goals for yourself. Number three, you have the ability to transform and grow based on your choices and your decisions. So every day you're deciding when you wake up, like when that alarm goes off or you wake up without the alarm, am I going to grow and transform today? Or am I going to kind of give myself some excuses and tell myself that it's okay and maybe I'll just start again tomorrow with a fresh outlook? Number four, what you envision and desire is what you will become. So these are required. These are foundational beliefs for rapid transformation. You guys are in week 7. I'm in week 7 with you of this challenge. We're all aiming for things that are way beyond what we thought possible maybe 2 months ago. What's awesome is you may not be where you are, like where you want to be yet, but if you look back, and we're going to look back in our journal prompts today and think about some of the changes in our mindset and our behavior and some of the actions we've taken over the last 7 weeks. And we're going to reflect on some of that transformation. So before we get into a journal prompt, I want to share a story of my friend, James Lawrence. This is a picture, if you can see that in the bottom right, me and James. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. James is a married father of 5, just like me, similar age, but nobody I know has gone through more rapid transformation and just reached more impossible goals than James. So what we're going to do, and with the help of Kirsten, we're going to watch just a quick 2.5-minute video that introduces James's story, and then I'm going to talk about it, and then we're going to go right into a journal prompt. Keep in mind, these rapid transformation, impossible goals that he's reaching are between ages 36 and 45 of his life. So this is not like he's a 20-year-old athlete. This is someone who's busy, got a job, got kids, and he's just doing amazing things. So let's go ahead and pull up and watch that video. While you're watching it, I want you to think about comparing his impossible goal and maybe looking at your own impossible goals that you have. And just think about what's something that you've thought about before, but you just never had the courage to do.
I felt empty. I hadn't found my physical and mental limits. It just came into my head, 50, 50, 50.
50 Ironmans, 50 states in just 50 days.
Meet the Iron Cowboy. And he's very tired, but you are fighting through it. They say he once wore a cowboy hat in the crowd of athletes, and the name stuck.
It seemed pretty much impossible.
Comical, yeah, terrifying.
Oh, yeah. He said, will you coach me? And I said, I don't think you can do it.
This guy thinks he has a chance. It's crazy.
The first few days were really chaotic.
They had forgotten my shoes.
So everybody's wearing like these smaller shoes.
Hey, I'll wear that hat.
Last reps in, you're good.
Past 48 hours. I'm doing 2 Ironmans and 5 hours of sleep.
I'm like, how are you doing? He's like, God. So I don't really think he's good.
10. Let's go from 3. Yeah, 3. You guys look bossy, pause off the road.
James says he can't feel his legs.
He'd sit down, he was asleep. It was so crazy to watch.
1, 2, snoring. You do 1, 2, 3 snoring on a bike, you crash.
And all of a sudden, he's like, I can't do this.
I stopped chasing society's dream. And I went after my dreams.
This is what we as human beings can actually do.
Whatever trial you're having, it's hard.
There's a finish line to all of this. You've just got to get through today.
It's awesome.
Fight.
Come, we'll be there with your bike waiting for you like we always are.
Always. Don't leave me waiting too long.
How awesome is that? So, like I've seen in the chat, a lot of you guys have heard his story, the Iron Cowboy. James and I have spoken on stage a couple times together, and I've gotten to know him, and every time I watch him share his story, I'm so fired up, and I'm thinking, man, like I need to think bigger. Like I need to think more impossibly. And what's crazy is that video is not brand new. So if you aren't familiar with his story, he first shattered the world record by doing 30 full Ironmans in 1 year. Full Ironman is a 10 to 15 hour race, over 100 miles on the bike, a full marathon, and 2.5 miles or so of swimming. And my wife is an Ironmaner. She's a triathlete as well. And I go to her races, and I can't imagine someone doing this 50 days in a row. He did it 50 days in a row in 50 different states. And he wasn't like flying around. He was driving in a van with his family, sleeping a couple hours a night. What's crazy is during the COVID pandemic, he decided to do something even more ridiculous. And he decided to do 100 Ironmans in 100 consecutive days. And I think it was like day 59, Ironman number 59, where he got hit by a car on his bike badly, like a bad accident, and broke his back. And I've seen the x-rays. His back was legitimately broken. And he looked up at his team and he's like, I'm done. I can't do this. Like my back is killing me. I can't get on the bike. And they were like, what are you going to tell the people that you committed this ridiculous goal to do? Like he was raising money against childhood obesity and against human trafficking. And his team was like, what are you going to tell them? That you couldn't get back up and get on the bike and finish? What message is that going to send? And I'm thinking at this point, like, the dude's got a broken back. Like, I think he's got a pretty good excuse to stop, and he's still done 60 in 60 days. But no, he got back on the bike and did another 41 full Ironmans in 41 consecutive days. He said that it's taken him years, like more than 2 years, to just physically recover from that incredible feat and mentally recover. He said he'll wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and feel that like agony of pain that he's in the middle of the race, just mentally, and yet he's just in his bed trying to sleep. So as I was thinking about James, and I'm thinking about all of you and your rapid transformation goals, transformation requires a breakdown. I think we often seek comfort. I know I do. I seek what's convenient, what's comfortable, something that feels nice, like it's not super, super challenging sometimes. But transformation requires a breakdown. So in these first 7 weeks, if you haven't had a breakdown where you felt like that moment when James broke his back and was laying on the ground and he told his team, I'm done. I cannot get on the bike. I'm done. If you haven't hit that point of breakdown yet, there's a lot of room to grow. Like you're not quite there, and that's okay. We've got 9 days left in the year. I hope you and I all push to at least experience more of that transformation in these last 9 days. I'm excited to carry that momentum forward in 2024, but don't be confused or don't fool yourself. It requires some kind of a breakdown. It's going to be mental. It could be physical, depending on what your goal is. But we're going to have to go through those hard times where we feel like quitting before we can have that launch. And so I'm just excited for you to be in this challenge. It's been 7 weeks. I love the idea when Ben brought it to us and said, hey, I'm doing an 8-week challenge for people to finish the year. Ed Milet calls it the separation season right now. Most people are sitting around just stuffing their face and taking it easy. They're not even really working the last month of the year. Like they just mail it in. So separation season to me means we all have a chance to create a great separation between us and mediocrity. And that's what's happening right now, that you guys are in this challenge, you're writing down goals, you're watching videos. It might feel like a fire hose because there's so much information that Ben and his team are giving out to us. But right now is the time to really create that momentum for next year. And I'm super excited to be along this journey. Being able to guest coach is very fun for me. So if we could pull up the slides, Kirsten. Okay, I'd like to go into this journal prompt, and I'm going to talk about this for a moment. That we're gonna take a couple minutes to write in our journals, and then we'll have a quick breakout, and then we'll share with the entire group. So 2 journal prompts, and you're familiar with gap in the gain, so we really want to stay in the gain here. Looking back over the first 7 weeks of this challenge, what achievement or progress are you most proud of? Okay, really think back to when you signed up for this versus now. Find one experience, one achievement, one just progress. If you haven't hit your big goal yet, that's okay. Let's think about the progress and stay in the gain and write that down. And then looking forward to the final 9 days of the year and through 2024, what are you most excited about that can materialize as a result of what you've done in this program? So not just your goals in general for next year or the final 9 days, but really, because I joined Rapid Transformation Challenge, what am I catapulting myself into that's possible over the next 9 days plus 365? Okay, so I want you to take 3 minutes total. Let's just do 3 minutes total. We're gonna play a little background music, and I'm gonna ask you to really think about going forward because of this challenge. What are you giving yourself the opportunity to achieve? So take the next 3 minutes, and then we'll jump into breakouts. So after the 3 minutes is over, I'll say a couple words and we'll jump into a breakout after that. So this is your journal time. 2 questions. Hopefully that gave you some nice thoughts for reflection. We're gonna go into breakouts, and I'm gonna ask you to just do 2 minutes each, which is 1 minute on each answer. So just quickly introduce yourself and then keep it concise and tight. 1 minute on each answer. So 1 minute on reflecting back and 1 minute on what you're really excited about. If there's a little bit of time to spare, give each other some encouragement. And then in 6 minutes or so, I think we're gonna do threes. We'll split up in threes. We'll be back and we'll be able to share with the group. So break out and have a great energy. Have great sharing. Hope your breakout was awesome. As you're looking back, once again, reminding you to stay in the game. Okay, maybe you haven't reached some of the huge things that you set out to do 7 weeks ago. There's still time. There's still time. And hopefully you've made some great progress. You've gotten some ideas and inspiration. I love breakouts with people who have energy and have high goals. One thing that's cool about these challenges and coaching programs is that when you're in a room of people who set unreasonable goals, your unreasonable goals start to feel like reasonable and they start to feel possible. And I think that's what's cool. So can you put the questions back up on the screen, please, Kirsten? I'm going to ask you to pick somebody in your group and shout them out for something they shared, whether it was looking back or looking forward. I'd like to get some participation right here and have some sharing in the group. So go ahead and raise your hand. Share something awesome that was said by someone in your breakout room. So this is not a time to talk about yourself, but share something about someone else's goals or what they're excited about or what they've achieved or accomplished so far. So let's get some sharing and some hands raised. And I can't see the hands right now, Kirsten. I can only see the screen. Is that?
I'll go ahead and call them out.
Yeah, just call them out.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's do Matthew Behrens. Matthew, are you able to unmute?
There's my unmute button. I was with Jackie Knight, and I wanted to shout her out real quick. I think one of the coolest things, there was a couple of us sharing about some of the things that we've been able to accomplish and achieve through this, but one of her big takeaways was just the internal work that she's been putting in. And there was a little bit of like, not maybe comparing. And I think that there was just the encouragement in the group to her that it's like, it starts with the internal. You have to change the internal stuff before you can ever get to the external. So it was just, it was a great conversation around that.
Awesome to see you, Matt. Superstar. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Jeff.
That's great. I mean, Ben talks about 10xing. I have that written down in my journal that says 10x on the inside before you can 10x the outside circumstances. And so I think you're exactly right. And being in groups with other growth focused winners that can really start that process of 10xing on the inside. So awesome share. Thank you. All right. Who's next? Kirsten.
Let's go to Brett Keenan.
Sorry, I couldn't find the mute button. I can't pick between the two because they were both awesome. So Ben Parvey is writing a book and he's waking his butt up at 5:30 in the morning every morning. So he's made lots of progress on it. Super excited about that. And then Andrew James just signed, I think he said, the biggest client of his business, like the biggest enterprise client ever. So my group was awesome, and I left it feeling crazily inspired.
That's awesome. I love to hear those stories. Getting up early and getting after it, and then signing a massive client, which I think what's crazy is this is absolutely true. When you're ready to sign your biggest client ever, somehow those opportunities show up. It's kind of like what Matt said. When you're ready on the inside, when you're 10xing on the inside, you're more prepared, and that energy, that frequency is going to attract those huge opportunities into your life. So I love that share. Thank you. Who's next?
All right, let's go to Yasir.
Hi, Chad. It's Yasser. I can't see myself, but
yeah, Kirsten, can you put him up on the screen with me so we can see me and them? Or you can take me off if you want. I don't.
How's that?
Yeah,
How's that?
There you go. Yes, Yasser, how are you?
I'm doing very well.
Kaylee.
Thank you. Okay. So I was with Wendy. There were
Look
just
at me,
two-
Kaylee.
Can you hear me? I was with Wendy. There were just two of us in our room, and I was with her a few weeks ago. What we discovered is she wants to create more income, as do I. And the way to hack around this thought that maybe having too much money is not great, because we're both blessed with opportunity, was she wants to really sponsor this orphanage in Uganda and just like cover all their costs. And for me, tithing or giving more to charities I believe in is my way of saying I want to earn this amount of money because I want to give 10K, 15K to charitable causes. And that's what Wendy also wants more money for, so she can just like cover this orphanage. And I said, wow, that's so motivating. If that's the goal, then I
love
can
it.
That. Yeah.
I love it. And you know what? That's something that in my, professional industry I've dealt with a lot, is that kind of that reservation of, is it okay for me to want more money?
Yeah.
And that's a real thing, especially for people who have faith backgrounds. It's often frowned upon. And if you have a why, my personal belief, I'm just being open, as Ben likes to say, I think that God wants money and resources to be in the hands of good people too. Like I think we can do amazing things that require resources, like covering that orphanage in Uganda. If you have a why and you have good intentions and you're going to be responsible and generous and giving, then shoot for the moon. Like money does not change you. Money is a magnifier. I've said that many times on stage. Money is a magnifier. It magnifies who you are. If you're generous and you have more wealth and resources, you can do a lot of amazing things. Now, if you're prideful and you're a jerk and you're, very mean to people, then yeah, it's going to make you more of that. It's going to magnify that. But I like what you're saying, Yasir. If you have goals to have resources and significant wealth, and you're going to do good with them, then that's going to really inspire you to go that extra mile. And what people will misunderstand is they're going to see your dedication and your obsession with growth, and they're going to misunderstand it, and they're going to label it possibly as selfishness or greed. But if you keep your why strong and you're centered and you still have your priorities straight, man, you're on the right track. Go for it. So I love that. Appreciate the share. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, let's do Kelly Price.
Oh, there you go. I couldn't unmute myself. Thank you. It wasn't letting me. I just wanted to call out David. Well, both of the group, David and Lance in my group, but Lance has been living in a bed for 2 weeks and he's sitting on this call in bed because he hurt his back. And I just think that that's impressive that you would actually sit on the call. But as soon as I saw David pop in, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's the star from our group in Facebook because he's on every day and posting videos and doing it. And
Awesome.
He said, ironically, that was one of his goals, is to be able to share daily, and he's done it every day of the transformation. So your commitment to sharing with us and doing everything, David, is very inspiring. So consistency and that always pays off, and you're very consistent with that. And even like you said, even if it's 60 seconds of an inspiring video.
Awesome. Way to be consistent, way to be valuable to the group and keep the inspiration and energy going. And Lance, get better, man. Keep fighting. Thank you. Who's next, Kirsten?
Let's do Ben Parvey.
All right, thanks so much. Yeah, Brett already talked about the other two of us, but wanted to point out that she hit an impossible goal of paying off a bunch of her debt. She had paid off her condo earlier, but then had a goal, I think, of paying down like 25% of debt by the end of the year that seemed like absolutely unreachable. And she was just able to do it. So that was a huge victory. I know everyone likes to hear about paying off debt, but also in that was also had fought and was able to get her property taxes down. So like Andrew had said, yeah,
that's a win.
That's worth more than $1. That's worth like $5 when you get to bring those property taxes down. That's worth more than $1. So big win, Brett. Excellent job. Keep going at it.
Awesome. Great share, Ben. And I think that is an impossible goal, negotiating your taxes down. So we should all celebrate that. That's great.
Thank you, Chad. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too. I think that's awesome. I think anytime you can make tangible progress in a financial goal, it feels great, especially when you're paying down debt or you're investing new money. Like it just feels great. It gives momentum for the next year. So way to go. Who's next, Kirsten?
Let's go to Dr. Pat.
All right. Hello, Chad. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
And hello, everyone. I'm going to shout out Clint Steele. I call him the brain doctor, but he does brain chiro, and he's really hit home with me around the confidence to have the vision and clarity to focus on that 20%, right? Confidence breeds so much. Your son, the example of the story, right? Him putting in the reps and doing the his impossible goal, what he thought was impossible. And so we don't grow out of that. I think as we take on new and different and impossible things that we think we can't do, it's the reps for me, for sure. And it's definitely the foundation of confidence and courage. So I was really inspired by that.
Very well said, Dr. Pat. I love it. Thank you. As I was thinking about it last night, I was like, the terror in my son's face, it broke my heart, man. I was taking him, he already had his laces on, and I was pulling him from that picnic bench, and his hands were just gripped in that picnic bench. And he's like, I can't do it. And I was like, Beckham, we're going to get through this, man. And the smile on his face, I admit I got him a cookie and a little milkshake afterwards because he was so proud of himself for skating in the middle of that rink. But I think sometimes it just takes, like you said, Dr. Pat, the confidence and the encouragement of maybe one or two people right around you to boost you to let go of the rails and to get in the middle of the rink and to go for it and hit those impossible goals. So let's hit a few more. Let's go for 3 or 4 more, Kirsten, if we've got hands up.
Yeah. Let's hear from David Odenyo. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that was perfect, actually. Yeah. So I wanted to get back at Kelly, actually, and shout her out. She just shouted me out. But so she said, like post-COVID, she had like a complete transformation, which has continued until now, where she went from like really unhealthy habits, sacrificing her health for her business. But post-COVID, when a lot of people got less healthy, she actually went on a journey where she's lost over 100 pounds from what she said,
Wow.
and 55 pounds this year alone.
Wow.
And she said she's going into the rest of the year staying consistent with that goal, even though the holidays are coming up. She said she's looking forward to stay in that zone of separation and keep going after those goals. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Thanks for shouting that out. Kirsten or Chelsea, make a note, please. I want to send her a signed copy of Fit for Wealth. Right up her alley. That's exciting. Congratulations. I love stuff like that. And I think when you're going against the grain, it's kind of a fun challenge. Like, it's kind of fun, I think, during the holidays to say, you know what, I'm just going to be totally contrarian, set some impossible goals, and really lean into my fitness instead of what most of us are used to doing, which is going backwards a lot over the last 2 months of the year and then trying to start over on January 1st when we just basically slid down the hill and now we got to climb back up it. Like, why not start climbing right now? So great story, David. Thanks for sharing. All right, who's next, Kirsten?
Let's go to Amanda.
Amanda, let's go.
Oh, we might.
There you are.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
hello. So my group was lovely. It was Barnabas is translating Arete by Brian Johnson into Hungarian.
Holy cow.
And he found a great who, even though he's in the challenge of like a corporate environment, right, and not really in a position to hire someone, he still found the who that he needed and invested in her personal development. So they're going to grow together to 10x impact. And then also Ashley is going through a challenge now, a breakdown of letting go of her familiar career in order to move into her own thing, which is really uncertain, but going to be more fulfilling. And so I'm really excited for her on that journey. I've been there. It takes a lot of courage. It's scary as hell.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda, for sharing. So breaking down and leaving what's comfortable. I mean, guys, I'll share my side of the story with me and Ben Hardy. I'm coaching Ben. We're having a conversation and he's talking to me. I was on the beach in Hawaii for Thanksgiving. And I was with my family. He just called he was kind of venting about some stuff. And he said just that he felt stretched in his 80%, where he was stretched too thin. He was not home a lot. He felt like he needs to be home more. He needs to be more present father and husband. And he's doing a lot of things that he feels like he should be doing, but he wasn't like on fire doing it. And he just kind of felt like he was miring in his 80%. And I just was asking him questions and I just challenged him. And I said, Ben, like, why don't you take your own advice and completely go all in on the 20%, which is what you love to do, which is writing. And it was a courageous thing. He said, well, a lot of my income comes from these other things that feel like they're in my 80%. So for him to completely move on and let go of a lot of his 80%, guys, we have to recognize what a legitimate example of practicing what you preach that Ben Hardy is. He's completely humble. He's completely courageous. He's going through the transformation that he's asking all of us to go through as well. He's not just like a regular coach who just tells people stuff and then turns the camera off and goes and grabs his bag of chips and sits on the couch. He's legitimately going through transformations right now in pursuit of his 20% and his 10x future self. And I think that's something that's so commendable. And as we think about what you said, Amanda, in the first shout out you gave, was there was a who that was found. I believe we're all one who away from a massive breakthrough. And the who could easily be in your network already, or it could be like 1 degree beyond your network. There's someone you know that is the who or knows the who that is the catalyst to your 10x breakthrough transformation. I firmly believe that. And when you're ready, when you internalize that transformation, you're at a different frequency, you're really thinking about more impossible transformations and breakthroughs, that who will show up. Like, you'll be ready to receive it. That's what's so exciting about this transformation challenge to me. All right, we got time for a couple more and then we're going to move on. So let's grab a couple more, Kirsten. Who do you want to go to next?
All right, let's do Mick.
What's up, Mick?
Hey, I'll mute myself. Hey, how's it going?
Great.
Thanks so much for doing the call. This is great. So Dan Drake, he was in my breakout room and it kind of blew my mind. When he came into it, he wasn't even thinking about doing what he did. He ended up saying, "Oh, I want to have another store across town." So he found a location, bought it and closed it in 3 weeks and is now doing the renovations. Like,
Come on.
Yeah. So he was very impressive.
That's great. What did he say helped him like go for that? What was it that you can take the slides down, by the way, Chelsea and Kirsten, that's fine. Mick, what did he say that like caused him to just go for that?
He didn't really say what it was that made him do it. He just saw, well, I guess I could. That's the impression I got. He just like, well, I think I could do this.
Why not?
And he just kind of leaned into it. And I said, Chad talked about this breakdown. Did you have that? He goes, so many times. Like I was so scared of like it's gonna fall apart, nothing's gonna happen. And he said, and I realized I'm just going through like the shadow of the valley of despair. And he said, I just worked through that and then shifted my thinking into more positive. And it was such a great testament to what it is that all of us will naturally go through, but how quickly we get out of that valley. He did so well. And he was so nonchalant about it. Like, oh yeah, I just bought it. And they're like, oh, this is so fast. And so it made me think my teeny tiny little very possible goal, which I thought was impossible. It makes me feel like it's very easy to do.
Yeah, you can do it. That's awesome. That's what it's about when you have a community of mindsets like that. You know, and when I think about James, the Iron Cowboy, when he broke the world record and did 30 full Ironmans in a year, and he literally said, I didn't feel like I reached my limits. He didn't have that breakdown. And so he knew inside, I have to go for something bigger. Doesn't matter if someone's saying, you already broke the world record, dude, like you don't need to go bigger. And he said, no, I need to. In fact, I'm not just going to break it. I'm going to do it 50 times in 50 consecutive days, which was not the record. Like they were just 30 throughout the year in 50 different states. Like he went so far to the ridiculous stage because he had to experience that breakdown to know that it really was going to produce a transformation. So
that's insane because I did a marathon.
Yeah.
It was the first and last one. Like but to do that as well as the other disciplines, the swimming and the biking, and then do it 50 days in a row.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Crazy. And then 100 days in a row. And by the way,
with a broken back.
With a broken back. I'll let the secret out. He actually did 101 secretly. He didn't tell anyone, but he did 101 just in case someday someone does 100 in a row, 100 days in a row full Ironmans. He did that extra 101 without telling anyone. So there were no cameras. There was no, media following him. It was just him and his team. And, James is a stud. So thank you, Mick. Appreciate the share. We got time. Let's go one more or two more. Kirsten, up to you.
Let's do Raul. This is the last one.
Okay, Raul, last one.
Hey, thanks for being here, Chad. You're totally
my pleasure.
Cool.
My pleasure.
So, Paula, super humble, super sweet. This is an example of letting go of your security blanket. She was part of a support group, quote unquote, and she knew deep inside that there was just a lot of bitching and complaining, and she knew she needed to let it go, and she finally let it go. And it just seems so beautiful to see her, how liberating that was to let go of that security blanket. And now she doesn't have to worry about all that drama, her words, drama. Right. I just thought that's a great example of the 80-20, letting go of that security blanket. And that's cool, that's beautiful.
I love it, Raul. Thank you. When you get the drama out and the negative naysayers and the complainers, like there's an energy boost. I made a mistake in my entrepreneurship journey of keeping a team member on too long. it was tough because I get close to the people who I work with, and we all became close friends. In fact, my wife became very close friends, like best friends with this employee's wife. And after about 6 months to a year, his toxic attitude and just negativity and just the hostile kind of just energy that he brought to the team was really hurting everybody. And I tried to get it healed and fixed. I tried to work with him so long because I just didn't want to have this. I was avoiding the confrontation of letting him go, and it was really difficult for me. And it hurt the team, and it was my fault because I was unwilling to just face that pain of letting go of that 80% and moving on and asking him to take a different job somewhere else. So, and guess what happened? As soon as we parted ways with him, the energy boost that Ro was just talking about, it was on fire. And the whole team, it was almost like this burden was lifted. And so it might be a person in your life, it might be an attitude, it might be a habit, it might be an addiction, but there's something that you kind of lean on when you're tired, when you're down, and it's that security blanket. It's whatever that habit is, that addiction that you lean on that kind of makes you feel comfortable and gives you permission to let loose, but it's probably not good for you. And I'm going to challenge you guys and invite you to get rid of that in the new year, in the next 9 days. Like, commit to yourself. I don't want that security blanket because it's actually hurting me. It's not helping me. So great shares, everyone. I like the fact that you guys were shouting out other people. I think that just encourages the community, brings the energy up. So I love it. Let's go to the slides. I've got a couple more slides, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So elevation, if we can jump on to that slide, let's see here. Oh no, we'll go to that. Yeah, go to this one, winning and momentum. Okay. So just to kind of close out our discussion for the journal prompts, I love this quote from Vince Lombardi. I'm a sports fanatic. My family, a bunch of athletes, we love sports. So this is something that I like teaching to my kids. Winning is not a sometimes thing. It's an all the time thing. You don't win once in a while. You don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit, and unfortunately, so is losing. Vince Lombardi. So our habits determine our destiny. And the character, as I tell my kids, the character is what we're doing, especially when no one's watching. Some of you know, if I'm connected on social media with you, you know that my daughter, my oldest, is a basketball player. She plays in the Big 12 conference. She's a Division I freshman right now, having a great time, putting in the work. And I think back to the times when we were shooting baskets, shooting hoops in my backyard, and she could barely dribble. And she's trying to figure out her form, and she's shooting free throws and really struggling. And I'm trying to coach her on how to hold the ball right. And now I'm tuning in on ESPN and watching her play. And she's a true freshman, so she doesn't play a lot, but it's surreal. Because I think back to the momentum and the winning and the habits and the behind the scenes. I said, if you just go to team practices and some trainings, you're never going to make it to Division I sports in college. And that was her goal. I said, you're not going to make it because there's hundreds of thousands of other kids doing that. They're just going to practice. Like, you have to put in the work when no one's watching. The celebration and awards and rewards in public are given to those who are winning in private when nobody's watching. So my question for you and for myself is, what are we doing when no one's watching? When we're not on the challenge call, when the camera goes off, what are the winning habits and disciplines that we're doing every day that are going to lead us to that outcome? Because there's no way as a 7th grader watching her play basketball that you could say, oh, this kid is for sure going to be a D1 player. There's no way. She's dribbling off her foot. She was missing free throws, looked like every other kid out there, but she was putting in that work when nobody was watching and just getting better and getting better and getting better. And that's what we all have to do to reach our goals. And as we do that, let's go to the next slide, Kirsten. We're putting ourselves in higher elevation. My challenge, hopefully in your breakouts, you got inspired to elevate your goals. When you go up to high elevation, the air's thin. It's harder to breathe. There's people who want you to stop climbing. Maybe close family members, maybe your parents. I remember when I left the corporate world, left Wall Street and started my own company. Nobody I knew thought it was a good idea. Even my parents, who love me and respect me, said, I don't know if this is a great idea. Like, why would you leave something that's going so well? You're so comfortable. You're doing so well. Like, there's no reason to leave and start over. Not everyone's going to understand why you want to climb that mountain, and that's okay. You might, as Ben says, you might disappoint some people by continuing to climb when they're unwilling to climb themselves. But I challenge you to keep climbing and not to fall for the false summits and think, oh, I've already made it. Shoot, I'm doing so well. Like I'm just going to stop and just sit here and chill. Because chances are you're not to the top of that mountain. And once again, to reiterate, you're going to break down before you can have that breakthrough. You're going to break down on that climb. But as you elevate your goals and you elevate the people you're around, you surround yourself with people who are also trying to get to the top of the mountain, you're going to get that extra boost on the climb. And I think it's very important to surround yourself with people and coaches and mentors and friends who are going for those same super steep climbs. Okay, next slide, Kirsten. This goes to the rapid challenge. Parkinson's law, you've seen this before. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. My easiest example that maybe you can relate to is whenever I'm going out of town on a trip, man, I get a lot done on the day of when I got to fly out. Why is that? Why do I suddenly check off 30 things on my list? It's because that's the only amount of time I have. So whatever time you give yourself, and maybe you've seen that in these last 7 weeks of the challenge, I'm giving myself 8 weeks to do some impossible stuff. And suddenly you're buying a building, you're renovating that store, you're getting your biggest client, you're losing 55 pounds in 1 year. Like whatever amount of time you give yourself is how long it's probably going to take, especially if you're seeking for who's to help accelerate that growth. I strongly believe that work expands to fill the time, whatever you give it. In my company, we use 12-week years, which means every team member and employee is eligible for a bonus every 3 months. And they have to set big, massive goals every 3 months. We're not going to, if we give ourselves a year, we're going to take a year. If we give ourselves 3 months, we're going to take 3 months. We'll figure out a way. So, especially implementing who, not how. You can do things so much faster if you get out of the way and find experts to help you accelerate to that end result. Next slide. If you have a 10-year plan of how to get somewhere or something, you should ask, why can't I do this in 6 months? Peter Thiel. So as you're looking forward to the next 9 days and then 2024, ask yourself, what can I accomplish in 1 year? Especially maybe add to that question, what can I accomplish in 1 year if I find the right who's and the right community and the right friends to help accelerate my growth? Don't think of yourself as trying to do this all on your own. If you try to do it all on your own, it's not going to happen. It won't happen. And that's too much stress. That's too much of a burden. You only know what you know. So there's someone out there that's in your network or 1 degree removed from your network that can help you get to these 10-year goals at a very short time frame. Okay, next slide, Kirsten. All right, here we are. Yeah, the question, I saw something just pop in the chat, and I'm sorry, there's so much stuff in the chat, I can't see it all while I'm teaching, but Alexis asked a great question. What can I accomplish in 1 year with the right who? And I think I like simplicity. What is the biggest thing I can accomplish while staying in my unique ability while doing the least? Don't overcomplicate it. Find the clearest 10x path possible to these big goals and then get some who's. All right, let's go to Q&A. Kirsten, I'm going to let you call on people and I'm going to focus on their questions and see what we can do as we finish up the last 20 minutes or so here.
All right, let's hear from Jordan Boniface.
Hey, what's up, Chad?
Hey, how are you, Jordan?
Good. I had a question around my goals and vision. So I was looking back at my vision I had at the start of 23, and a lot of it has came to fruition. There's one part of it that I'm really expanded on and feel good about. But it just hasn't happened. So I'm curious how you would coach me on that. Like I've done like the internal work, but yet it feels like it doesn't really feel like resistance. It feels like I'm reaching out, I'm taking bold action. But it still feels like it's just not happening.
Are you comfortable sharing what that goal is, or is it too personal?
Yeah, I can share it. So basically, started a coaching business, and one half of the goal is coaching entrepreneurs in teams, and then the other half is coaching athletes, specifically in the wrestling field, which is like what I did. I wrestled in college. I coached for 7 years, so I felt like that would be like almost the easier path, and it just hasn't happened.
What do you think has kept it from happening?
I don't know. At first, I thought maybe like I just had some like beliefs that I didn't belong with like the elite just based on my college career. And I did like a lot of acceptance and self-forgiveness around that. And it still feels like maybe there's a part of me that doesn't think I belong with the type of people I want to coach. And I still do the internal work. And I even reached out to a who was super well connected and had a great conversation. And then it kind of just like didn't really lead anywhere, at least in this present moment.
I believe that you're identifying perhaps that barrier a little bit by saying, because you said it twice, Jordan, about do you belong in that group? And so I would invite you to really, to me, I think it makes more sense to focus on one specific target market, target niche audience. I think if you want to become the guy in that space, then go all in and become the guy in that space and believe that you belong and trust in your experience. Like you played college sports, like you've gone to where 99% of most wrestlers never could go. And so trust and believe that you belong in that crowd, and then be willing to go all in on that 20% of this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be maybe the world's best wrestling coach and mentor for all these athletes, because I've been there. I've gone through that journey since I was younger, all the way through college and coaching. Like I know it better than anyone else. And I think it's important to go all in and to keep persisting. I feel like maybe you've kind of paused it a little bit and questioned it and gone back and forth. And so being interested in that is very different than being obsessed with that. And I feel like you could get to that level where you're totally obsessed with that. And once you get obsessed with it, that energy and frequency is going to attract the right opportunities. So
do you think, I guess my question would be like, maybe it is part of my 80% because I really love coaching entrepreneurs. And in fact, one of the entrepreneurs I'm coaching is a former national champ. So it's interesting that like, those are the people I'm attracting. So maybe it's part of my 80%.
It could be.
Also,
it could be. It's very possible. By the way, I think his name is it Jordan Burroughs?
Yeah, that's my who, man.
Yeah. So did you talk to him?
I haven't talked to Jordan. I talked to someone who's trained with him just a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Reach out. I'm friends with Jordan.
You're friends with JB? No
Yes.
way.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. I just hung out with him for a few days in Colorado. So I could potentially connect you even further with an endorsement. So
oh, that's awesome, man. I'm in Colorado too. Were you in Colorado Springs at the training center?
I was actually at a retreat for CEOs and pro athletes, and it was a small group of 50 or so people. So I hung out with Jordan a lot. He's reading my books right now, actually. So reach out to the team here, and we'll see what we can do.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Chad. I appreciate you, man.
Yep. Next up.
All right, let's go to Camille. And just so you guys know, I'm going to help keep Chad on pace here. So if I pull you out, it's only so we can keep things.
Kirsten has to open the trap door and let people fall out if we get caught up. But thank you. Camille, go ahead. Take yourself off mute. Let's go.
Hi, can you hear me? Because I had some technical problems earlier. Yeah, so my question relates to making decisions and getting comfortable with making quick decisions, which is something maybe I overanalyze things, and so in the last few weeks I've made a lot of quick decisions, but then I I get concerned that what if I'm making the wrong decisions and how to deal with that.
All right, Camille. This is my wife. I'm a quick decision maker. She is not. So evidence is when we're at a restaurant and she's asking about every single thing on the menu. Quick decisions give you quick feedback, and quick feedback tells you where you need to go next. So think of quick decisions as actually progress. It's okay to make mistakes in your quick decisions. That's how you learn. If you sit there and overanalyze, you're learning nothing. You're just thinking about stuff. I mean, you could journal prompt yourself for the next 2 weeks about yourself and do nothing, and you're going to learn nothing. So you have to be decisive to make progress. It's okay. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. But once you decide, you better be committed on following through with that and not deciding, then questioning, then analyzing. Should I have done that? Should I have not done that? Like, make your quick decisions, commit, go all in on that opportunity, and then learn from whatever happens afterwards. But don't stop short and question it and analyze it. Like, run through the tape at the end of the race. Don't run to the tape. Make your quick decisions. That's how you learn.
Yeah. So, and I guess the second part of my question is how to manage risk with making, especially financial risk with making some decisions, because maybe part of my fears, I had a father who made some big mistakes, and then I had to support him for about 20 years of his life. And
don't do things that will financially ruin you quickly, but you can make quick decisions on lots of things. If it's financial, certainly analyze the opportunity and get professional counsel on that. But be willing to be decisive, because without being decisive, you will never learn. So thank you, Camille. All right, let's go to the next person, Kirsten.
Let's go with Jeremy McLiver.
Hey, Chad.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So I have a really robust, fulfilled coaching practice that's tapped to the ceiling. And I have been working hard to identify the 20%. I feel like I've done in the past, let go of 80s, but I'm struggling to figure out what my 20 really is. What are some thoughts on how to find that 20?
For me, it comes down to some like requirements of what is in my 20%. It has to seem impossible or ridiculous. It has to excite me. It has to scare me. But at the same time, it has to give me energy. So what part of your next level growth, I think I would challenge you and invite you to think about that. What part of your next level growth really gets you excited, but also a little bit scared? And maybe it's expanding the business. Maybe it's a different business. I'm not sure. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the lane that you're going in, but certainly we all have levels that we can move up into. Even though we've climbed one mountain, there's a bigger mountain that we can go climb after that. So identifying the 20% for me comes down to really thinking about, if I could only do one thing, what's that one thing that I would do every day, all day? And it would keep me fired up, keep me energized. And then what's the level I want to reach that seems ridiculous, exciting, and scary at the same time? Like Jeremy could say, you could say, I want to be bigger than Tony Robbins, something like that. Like, set something ridiculous and then think about it and mull over it and think, does this excite me? Does it keep me in my lane? Am I doing what I love to do? Does it give me energy? Are there who's that I know that could help me get to that next level? So I think also you could talk to your inner circle and ask them questions about, what do you see a big potential for me? Like, where do you see me going in the next 5 years? What big goals? I think the people who know you best probably can see your blind spots as well and might be able to give you good feedback on that.
Good. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
The scary is the exciting one for me.
Yeah. Scary plus exciting. Those both have to be there. If they're not both there, I don't think it's part of the 20%.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to go with Hugo next.
Hey, thank you. Hi, Chad.
Hi, Hugo.
Hey, everyone.
I have this dilemma because my impossible goal is to, I'm in the training and development industry in Mexico. We have a couple of clients in the US, and my impossible goal is to become like the McKinsey or the BCG for learning design strategies in the States. And last week I had this road show, like 9 days, visiting Boeing and the NHCC, Houston, and UTEP in El Paso in Texas. And there's a lot of doors being opened, but December, it's a cold, frozen month for budgets around learning and development. So how do you conciliate the ideas? I know what to do, but it seems like it's dead, out there. So how to merge that impossibility to my aspirations, really possible and optimistic aspirations.
Have you made great progress, even though they haven't been able to use their budgets to basically seal the deal?
A lot of seeds planted, a lot of who's. This challenge, what it has helped me the most, certainly around alcohol, as many of you guys. So I'm more aware and sharp and lucid.
Right.
So I found that presidents of boards and like the National Hispanic Corporate Council and people in LA, in Washington, DC, now I see them with different eyes. So those are seeds planted.
Right.
But I haven't seen results because of the stationality, how in the season, how
Yes.
the year is like.
And I think that this may just take a little patience. I think that's okay.
That's what I was thinking, and say,
Yeah.
oh, maybe that's my inner critic or the inner devil telling me a lie that no, it's not about patience. It's keep moving forward.
Well,
But
I
there
think
could be stubbornness.
you can keep moving forward, yet at the same time, this goal requires a lot because you're dealing with boards and with committees and seasons and deadlines and budgets and things like that. So
Exactly.
It's not all within your control. So what's within your control, you need to be 10xing and going nuts in. Like you need to not stop. You need to be putting in the work the day after Christmas and giving positive outreaches and wishing them a happy holidays and still moving the ball forward. But have patience and give yourself a little grace.
Thank you.
Sometimes we don't get the results that we want, the final outcome in the timeline, but the bigger results come from being a little patient. So let's just say like you were supposed to get X, you're aiming for X by December 31st. You might get X times 5 on March 31st. And guess what? That's okay.
I know that's what's gonna happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just
that's
had
okay.
the question. Yeah.
Yep. So that's great. So Hugo, just keep putting in the work and understand that it may take a little patience on the timeline, but that's okay. Do everything you can to move the ball forward.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Hugo.
All right, let's go to Vesna.
Thanks, Kristen. Hey, Chad.
Hi.
Awesome to interact with you here. So I've been going for 100 no's to get me to my 10 yeses and just going completely fully in. And I am super excited but I feel at this point I've reached, well, I guess when I look back across the 100 yeses 100 offers that I've gone for, I even realized that most of them were towards my 80% and not towards my 20%. So I kind of elevated and I kept going further and further. But as you said, the air is thinner up at higher altitudes that I'm feeling it, where I literally feel like I'm asking my brain to stretch to a different dimension. And I don't even know anymore. Like I have the will and the effort and I'm going for it. But at this point, I feel what else? Almost like I've hit kind of a wall.
Yeah, when you hit that wall of the air is really thin and like, I don't know what else to do. To me, you have to have who's in your life that you can talk to about this. You have to have mentors, friends, coaches, somebody that can continually infuse a little bit of oxygen into you, because you probably are wondering what you can do next when really like you're probably on the right track and making progress that you don't even see. And often we get stuck because we think, well, I've kind of done everything. I'm running out of ideas, but that's because maybe we're getting close to that breakdown. Like maybe you're supposed to go for 200 no's. I'm not sure. But certainly clarify what's in the 20% and what's in the 80%, because make sure you're aiming at the correct target and going after the right people. I'm not sure, but you may need to elevate the people you're going after. I typically think when I get stuck like that, I'm one who away. I always believe I'm one who away. And so I start thinking and looking around in my network and think, who do I know that could possibly help me get over this hump?
Yeah, I've refined my offer to just one offer for the entire year next year, and I've elevated who I'm surrounded by. So I guess maybe I am doing it, maybe going back to, I think, Hugo, just patience. So
yeah.
okay.
And I think clarify the offer, simplify the offer, make it as client focused as possible on the benefits, that like make sure that the offer is so clean and clear. I think, make it irresistible, make your offer irresistible, and then continually reach higher of who you're putting that offer to.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, let's go with Dominic.
All right, Chad, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
One of the challenges I've had with the challenge is the mindset of being in the gap. So I'm like so goal focused.
Yep.
Just like Ugo and Ursula was saying, what strategies do you use to like keep yourself in the game?
One of the things that I have to consistently do is write down and discuss wins, and I call them wins and highlights. I grew up watching Sports Center. I love highlights, and I feel like we should give ourselves a little Sports Center every night, a little episode of like going back through the day. What are the best plays of the day? And it's so easy for us as high achievers to go into the gap and to think about like, man, I wanted to be here and I'm not here yet. I wanted to be there and I'm not there. I wanted to get that deal. I didn't get the deal yet. I'm supposed to be doing this by 8 weeks and I'm not where I want to be. Or so-and-so just did this massive thing and I didn't do a massive thing yet. It's so easy to get to that. And all that does is completely stunt our progress. And so a couple simple things I would do is replay your highlight video every single day. Write down things that you're grateful for. Stay in gratitude. I think you can't be in gratitude and in the gap at the same time. And so if we're in gratitude, looking back at our progress and thinking about how far we've come, whether you look back 7 weeks at the beginning of the challenge or a year or 5 years, I strongly believe your past self, Dominic, would be very proud of who you are today. I don't even know you, but I believe that if you're the kind of person that signs up for this challenge, I know something about you. So look back 10 years, 5 years and think, what would that person think about me today? They'd be proud of me. They'd be proud of me. And I think to stay in the game, you have to recognize the little small wins and highlights. You have to have a habit of doing that and give yourself grace. Like I said to Hugo, patience often yields huge results. And sometimes we're not getting what we want right now because we're being redirected to something so much bigger and better.
Just to follow up, because I'm thinking this, and I'm thinking a lot of other people are thinking the same thing. Is after this 8 weeks, what do we do to keep this momentum going? Maybe I'll talk about that next week. But
yeah, I mean, I can tell you that I'm coaching a program for Ben called Ant Platinum. So, but I think you have to do something. If you do nothing after this 8 weeks, you're gonna slide down the hill. So you guys have done something amazing. So you gotta get with a group and stay in this momentum. Like I said about momentum and winning from Vince Lombardi. Like keep the momentum going. You're not done. You have no idea what the future you looks like, the future self. So you got to keep in the game, find a group that's going to help support that. I'm happy to help you if you like me, but find something. So thank you, Dominic.
Hey, let's go with Meg.
What's up, Meg? You're on mute.
It won't let me. Oh,
There you go.
all right. It wouldn't let me unmute. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm super grateful for this community. This has all been amazing, and I am signed up for the platinum group. So
Yeah,
really
excited to have you. Thank you.
So I guess my question is, I'm in real estate, and so I have a real estate business that currently is mainly just me. And then I'm also doing a marketing membership / courses for realtors to help them connect with their community and build events. I'm more excited at this point about the kind of coaching realtors aspect of it. But I also want to keep my real estate business going as sort of like a lab for that coaching business. So what I'm really struggling with are finding who's to help grow both of those arms of the business. And I am trying to figure out whether it's I don't know, I guess I probably need almost a partner, an integrator, a right-hand person, but I have been interviewing for that for months and willing to pay, 6 figures for that person, but I just haven't found the right person. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, do I continue to look for that one person, or in the meantime, hire more kind of coordinator level roles and then continue to look for that kind of number?
My advice is, and I can help you find the integrator. I have a connection who that's their only job is they recruit great integrators and COOs. So happy to help with that. Yeah. So I think the real estate business is, if you're successful in your real estate business, it gives you credibility to coach realtors. And so you have to keep that going. And I think it needs to be self-managing, expanding, and super successful and out in the public. And then if you're more excited about the coaching thing, I love it, because when you make your competitors your clients, you dominate the industry. So you become seen as the voice in that industry. So finding that who and the right integrator, I think, is critical. And then going all in on that 20% of growing the coaching realtors is, I think it's exciting. It's great. And it sounds like that's where your energy is going. So
yes. And so you think the integrator helps build both of those at the same time?
I'm not sure if it's the same person, but you need an integrator to run the day-to-day. So it sounds like you're the visionary like me. So I think that's what you need.
Awesome.
And we'll help you do that. We'll help you do that.
I did the same half Ironman as your wife. I looked through your Instagram, and
no way.
City. Yeah. It was
awesome. Yeah. She got stung by about 100 jellyfish, she said.
Me too. It was crazy.
That was nuts.
It was fun.
That was nuts. Awesome.
All right,
Thank you, Meg. Yep.
All right, I think we have time for just one more. So let's go with.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'll be back next week, though.
Let's go with Michael Schaefer.
Wow, I got lucky. Thanks, Chad, for doing this.
My pleasure.
Quick question. It's kind of like a question specifically, I guess, for you, because I was reading your bio, and I think I'm maybe kind of in a similar situation. I'm in a corporate sales job right now, and I'm very successful in that, and probably top 5%, but have an entrepreneurial spirit. So I've always kind of wanted to do my own thing too, but it's going so well, and I could 10x this corporate business, but I always kind of feel that tug to do something more entrepreneurial too. So we're just curious your thoughts kind of on that journey, and any pro tips.
My advice, look, I just look at it like this. I'm obsessed with the fact that life is short. I've gotten to hang out with a guy that a lot of you know, Jesse Itzler, and his recent speaking stuff about how time and life is limited just gets me so fired up. And I love Jesse Itzler. He's one of my favorite people in the world. And he talks I bought that weekly, you color in the bubbles of every week that you have left in your life, kind of I think life is too short. I was 30 years old and I was making $1.2 million, and I was super comfortable. I had all these perks. I had a corner office, and my dad was like, "You can't give this up. What are you doing? You're 30 years old. You have a mortgage. You have 3 kids. You're going to grow your family." And I started over and I went to zero. And not only did I go to zero, like I had expenses, I had bills, I had payroll, I had the lease. I'd never been an entrepreneur. I did not know what I was doing as a business owner. I left on 11/11/11, kind of superstitious for good luck. And it's the greatest thing I ever did. So I would just invite you to be courageous and think about what you really want. Now, don't be irresponsible if you've got a family to take care of or bills to pay and stuff. Like I often say, start something and grow it and make sure you want to do it before you quit something amazing. But don't feel the need to stay where you are because that's what society thinks is right, because no one else would give up what you've got. That doesn't make any sense. Like you are you have what you really want in this one life that you get. And so you may be doing great by everyone else's standards, but if inside it's not really what you want to do, you're eventually got to take that jump off the diving board. And that's how I felt. I mean, I was 31, 32, felt like I was on the high dive and I was like, what am I doing? But eventually I just jumped and I never looked back. And I think that everyone reaches that point of no return that Ben talks about. I will say this, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and it's not the only way to be happy and successful. It's not. I don't believe the gurus that all they talk about is like grinding 100 hours a week and being an entrepreneur, and it's the only way to be, and they trash on employees. I totally don't agree with that. Totally don't agree with that. So, but if it's for you, if that's your path, you will be unfulfilled until you take that leap. You're going to have that little thing inside your head that tells you like, there's something else out there for you. So you got to really follow that intuition and have the courage to make a change. And at some point, once you do it, you'll never look back.
Yeah. Awesome. Super helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Well, thank you guys. I've really enjoyed this session. I apologize that I couldn't get to every hand up, but if we could take a screenshot or make notes of who's raised their hand, because I want them to have a chance to speak in the next call. So December 29th, guys, that's my wedding anniversary. I got permission from the wife to jump on with you guys. So I hope you're all there. Hope you're committed. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a great weekend. And we will, I did pay attention to the chats, by the way, but I'm just trying to coach right now. So Merry Christmas, guys. And I'll see you in a week. Let's end a year with just a solid high energy meeting and kick off 2024 with a bang. So have a great weekend, you guys, and we'll see you next week.